Hello, my friends and family. Um, just a little bit of chit chat, this and that. Um, you can tell it's really bright outside. I'm recording this on Thursday, approximately 6:20 p.m. It's going to be released sometime the next day, which would be 3:24 as far as date. So I'm just it's kind of weird. Like man, like I've got so much going on in my life, and he's like, man, I always say to myself, like, what? Why does one man have to be subjected to this much stress? I realize the lighting's not that great, folks. I'm sorry. I'm just trying to deal with it and speak from my heart as my feelings pop up. So, you know, I have a lot of struggles here with my mother, who's 89, got pretty much almost 89.5 years old, um, in poor health, has had cancer, multiple heart attacks, bad heart, you know, open heart surgeries, and a lot of, valve replacements and uh, stuff like that. So she's dying of dementia too, and that part that eats you up. It's eating her up, and it's eating me up at the same time. And but I do try and be here as much as possible to be as attentive as possible to. Um, she still comprehends, a lot of things. Just it's like she's has her brain just malfunctions in the weirdest little areas or capacity of memory or but basically it's a lot of I call it. I'm not a doctor by any means, and I don't pretend to play one on YouTube, but her short-term memory is really poor. So it's it's wearing me out because and this is going to sound like about me, but it's not really about me. But I'm trying to share the story about us. If that's hopefully that's a better clarification. But I just watched a video by a lady. I'm a new subscriber to her channel. I think her channel name was something like Sunflower or something like that. And she was talking about. Hold on one second. Man, I've had a problem with indigestion here lately, the last week or so. And I know what the problem is. I'm took some different medication. I'm waiting for it to kick in. It takes usually a day, two, three, four, whatever. But this lady was talking about she's trying to take care of her mother who's in her last days. Like sounds like according her video, sounds like it's her immediate last days. Like it could be like very soon. So if you see this, I have this contraption put up here. I just realized it's on video. I never really paid attention to that before, but it is a shirt. I have this lamp that I use at night to give me light. I'll tell you exactly what it is. It's like a horizontal magnifying glass that senior citizens would use, and it has like one of those bendable arms, and it has lights. So it has four lights in the corner, and everything. So it magnifies if you're reading a book. So that's pretty much what that is. So that is my homemade lighting device for nighttime and during late afternoons here in Southwest Florida. I pretty much just try to put a T-shirt over that to block the sun because if anybody knows anything about what sunlight through a magnifying glass, it can pretty much start a fire. And I don't want my brain to be fried more than it already is. But So this lady was, it really kind of touched my heart because I don't want to say I'm one of the few, but I realized there, for whatever reason, I don't know what happened, but there really wasn't a whole lot of correspondence on her page. She had less than 1,000 subscribers, but I felt that her heartfelt, shared message about how she's trying to deal with things was so similar to my situation. So then, she also mentioned she's a cancer survivor, and I think she was right around the 5-year mark of being cancer free, which is that's a huge milestone for anybody that knows anything about that terrible disease. So um, she's she's trying to do her best, handling the bad situation. And apparently, it sounded like this lady had like 20 years of nursing experience, and so she kind of knows a lot of. Lord, I forgot I had. I usually put my phone on airplane mode, but as you can tell, I just forgot that. But so it's like so much has been going on lately, man. It's like I feel bad for this lady. Like she was showing a tour of her beautiful property and stuff like that, and she's obviously doing a little bit better than me, and her her lifestyle is, obviously better than mine, and but it's just like, man, I just every day I wake up and I'm praying for a break, but I'm hoping the situation's going to get better. But in my mom's case over here, her brain is gradually deteriorating, and it's hard for me to deal with because I'm the only son here, and I'm not the power of attorney to deal with this and actually see all the true happenings in her life. But I have the least power of, you know, suggestion, so to speak. So my mom goes through so many rituals almost every day, and she keeps getting a prompt coming up on her computer about uh, some like security violation. Call this number, and I've told her before, don't call that number. We pretty much reboot the computer, and even though it says not to do that, and then she's fine for a couple of days, and then but basically she gets on the phone with all these people that call her nonstop, or she calls them. And I'm not here to monitor her 24/7. I wish I could to some degree, but she she's losing control of her mental aptitude, cognitive abilities to make decisions. Some part of her brain and her dialogue is really tuned in. Some parts are just MIA. So I'm always having to hang up on people or tell her to hang up, and it's like some, like I'm going to be gone Saturday and Sunday. I don't. How many predators are going to be calling her? I always tell her, if you do not recognize the phone number, do not answer it. If you do not, if it says unavailable, do not answer it. Stuff like that. I said, if it's important, they're going to leave you a message. And this is going to sound very, very discriminatory towards a certain country, but if they sound like they're from India and you get the same calls every day about the same topic, just don't talk to them. Don't do it. And she, like I said, her short-term memory does not comprehend that or can't absorb that thought process. So there's a lot of transactions that have occurred on her account for different reasons that, was not able to be monitored. Um, I know what a lot of you people are probably thinking is, why not just one of two things? Either pay for a full-time nurse, which that can get costly, obviously, or, put her in a home, which that is also costly. I, I really don't like either of those options for a multitude of reasons. My mom, yeah, that came out improper grammar. My mom's dying wish is to not be put in a home. So I'm trying to do everything possible to keep that afloat and let her pass away with dignity to somewhat. My brother's the power of attorney. He does not live close to here. He's like 2 hours away. He doesn't always show up. He hasn't been here in probably, I don't know, week and a half, whatever it was. I don't remember. I think he's scheduled to arrive on Tuesday. Generally, he shows up and takes her to some doctor's appointments and then goes back to where he lives. So he's not really here all the time. I am here all the time. So it's very difficult to be the person on hand lending the most assistance or trying to render as much aid as possible when you realize you have the least amount of influence as possible. So I'm not, when I say influence, for decision making and everything, and that whole process, that's a whole nother story. I've kind of talked about it before on different platforms, and I'm not real happy about that whole process. But every day I try and as much as I'm here, I try to do different things to make my mom smile and laugh in her waning days, So I always refer to her as the queen. And I do this little skit almost daily where I pretend like I'm her servant and I'm addressing her like she's the Queen of England. And I said, may I address the Queen, please? And stuff like that, and usually she sleeps 20 hours a day out of 24 hours. My mom loves chocolate. She's, she likes it. So when I give her chocolate, it's like her hitting the lottery. But so I always try and do little things to try and make her happy and stuff like that. And I don't feel I have deserved the injustice of inequality on the siblings. But right now, it is what it is. I think it's a crappy hand, and it really sucks. But I'm trying to deal with it, not dealing with it well. A lot of things in my life are not going well, but I'm pretty much here to talk more so about my mom and what's going on there. So I really need a lifeline, and this weekend is going to tell the tale. I don't know if you can hear that phone. Her phone rings 125 times a day. I silenced my phone, but the house phone is ringing, and it's probably somebody from India calling, trying to. She answered the phone. She's not supposed to do, unless she knows who it is. But So it'll wear you out. It really wears you out. So pretty much it's a sit, wait and see what happens type scenario, and that's like a slow. Hate to say it, but this disease and everything is a slow death. I've discussed this before. I truly believe that my mother is not going to die of that disease. It may contribute, but I truly believe it's going to be heart failure. She has a hard time breathing when she walks, and she's not obese. She probably weighs 105 pounds max, and she's never been obese or anything like that. Never smoked, but so it just blows my mind. Like I just it's crazy how it really wears you out. Like you want to you want to sprinkle fairy dust on her head and make her all better, and at least try not to make her crazy, so to speak. It's probably not the correct political term to use, but that's pretty much where we're headed down the road, where she's becoming incoherent and not always logical. But sometimes she's very. It's sometimes like we'll look eye to eye, have a conversation. She fully comprehends, understands, and then 5 minutes later, she does not remember the conversation we just had or anything like that. So that part gets very frustrating. And I just so this is going to be like a true confession part type scenario. If if she had to go away to another residence, a facility, then I know that the power of attorney would be working on putting the house up for sale. There obviously is going to be a process where that needs to be, some home improvements need to be done to make it more higher in value for resale. But currently, this is my home. I live on the floor in a jumped up bedroom that I have just literally I just sleep on a rug on the floor. Nothing fancy, nothing high tech. But so my call it selfish side, if you will, is concerned because I don't want her to go away. And if she goes away, I probably have to go away. And I really don't have a full-time job right now that can sustain and keep me alive and pay for rent and stuff like that. And if the power of attorney is decides he doesn't want to honor the paperwork, it could get to be a messy situation. I really don't want that. I think for all parties involved, it just pretty much needs to be rectified as rapidly as possible so we can all move on with our lives. And I heard an expression many, many years ago, and it's still pretty much true. There's three sides to every story. There's the one side, the other side, and the truth lies somewhere in the middle or something like that. And that's probably true in this scenario to a degree. But I do know that a dead man cannot defend himself. And that's what really pisses me off. That when anybody can paint a picture or present a scenario to suit their agenda, or anybody can make accusations or what have you. But when the alleged defendant or what have you can't defend himself anymore, that's that's just bashing and trashing. It's there is no dignity in that, and I just don't like all the possibilities right now. Like I truly try and hang on every day for a new beginning, a new surprise, positive surprise, not a negative surprise. But unfortunately, a lot of negative things happen. So I'm so far behind on things. It's really tearing me up internally because I'm very credit savvy, very credit aware. I'm very conscientious to what would happen if I'm not here full time. It would be a rapid decline of my mother, and so there's she's I, I don't like the idea of a stranger coming in here and trying to take care of her, 1 or 2 hours a day or whatever, or a full time, resident in here. Like I said, that obviously that can be costly. It 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 would be awkward, if you have a rotating schedule of nurses or guardians or whatever you want to call them to try and look out for somebody when you're out just trying to gain a paycheck. So it's kind of, to me, it sounds almost counterproductive. I don't know if you can comprehend that. Like if I go out and start a new job next Monday, which is not happening, unfortunately, just found out. Let's say I'm making $700 or $800 a week. According to the power of attorney, the nursing fees are like $36 or $38 an hour, right? So think about it. You have a problem giving me money, but you want to give the nurses money. I'm not saying you want to give them, but that's an option. If I take a full-time job, and if you think about the numbers, I'm cheaper than a nurse or nurses. I'm not trying to justify it. It's just the reality of the numbers. So when this lady posted this video tonight, I just accidentally stumbled upon it. I don't know how her mother is. I don't know if it's cancer. I don't know what her ailment is that is going to take her shortly. But it just kind of reminded me, like, man, like I'm not the only one in this boat, so to speak. Sounds like she's better prepared to handle it than I am in terms of income and finances and better financial stability. But I've said this for a while. I truly believe, like, man, it's like I've said this so many times. My mom's probably going to outlive me, and that really sucks. And I've said so much about another person involved in this process. I really don't like talking about that a whole lot, but it's the reality of the situation. It's like it was. So many people are going to say so many things. Do this or do this, do that. But all these people who make these suggestions, everything you suggest requires money. So I really, obviously, am not in that position. My life has been dramatically affected by 2 Category 5 hurricanes in the last 5 years. So yeah, it's just like some people are going to look at this video and, hey, dumbass, move, or something like that. Well, my mom's here. She lives here. This is happiness to her. Fortunately, it's a pretty secure, sound house that has survived. And I don't know, I just felt like getting on here and talking about, um, what's crazy is what I'm going through right now. So many of you may never ever expect that to happen to you, but guess what? One day it may or could happen to you. It could be, a different aspect. It may not be the same disease, debilitating disease, but there may, it could be the big C word. When I say the big C word, cancer is what I'm talking about, not that other ailment that everybody had for a few years. But that was also obviously a little bit of a disruptive force to our lifestyles and existence. So I guess what I'm asking you is try and look at every opportunity or every situation differently. Some people are very opinionated about what people say or how they present it or what have you, but just really sit back and try and think to yourself, if you have not been in that situation, how would I react in that situation? Because it's difficult, and I'm gonna expand on this a little bit more, and I will say honestly, in my opinion, it's probably easier to deal with if you have a spouse or a significant other, or if you have maybe family that you're real close with, you can talk to, and it's probably easier to deal with. You could probably work out a rotation schedule or something like that. Right now, myself and the other person involved there is really no rotation cycle other than that person, occasionally taking her to the doctors. That's pretty much all that's occurring. So I realized, it's hard for me to talk about this, and I'm digging deep in my soul not to display too much negativity as much as I want to and can. So I'm trying to keep it professional as much as possible, but still try and convey a message. So I realize that I've almost talked for 30 minutes, but if you guys have any similar experiences that you want to share, I'd be open to hearing it, or if you want to share it on this public platform, what have you. But it's hard to deal with. It really is hard to deal with. It not only affects my life, my mother's life, and the other person's life, and the person that's probably going to be least affected due to financial gain could be another family member. So with that being said, try and it's very difficult. So try and deal with it the best way you can. And it's frustrating for me at times. I'm not gonna lie to you. So anyway, with that being said, I'm gonna tap out. It's almost 30 minutes, and I appreciate you listening to this chit chat session. It's pretty much one-sided, obviously, but I thank everybody that does follow and try and support me in any kind of way, or not just me, my mom, family, the situation, So I'm going to tap out. Thank you very much, folks. Love talking.